My name is Ruksana Patel, and today I'm going to do a presentation about my research. My research topic is how does further education address issues of social justice? Is there a happy ever after in the Cinderella sector? Cinderella being the metaphor for further education. I chose this topic as my own education aspiration led me on the path of migrancy to subvert the discourses of my home country. My journey to UK provided me with access to education, which led me to intergenerational shift, liberation, and provided me with social capital and self-transformation. Through this research, I want to capture the voices of BAME women in further education. Social justice education is a philosophy, an approach, and actions that embody treating all people with fairness, respect, dignity, and generosity. The purpose of this research is to highlight that further education is not simply an arena of indoctrination into capitalistic society, but it is also a site of liberation and promotes student empowerment. Achievement in FE is measured in terms of SATs results and league tables and benchmarks. It quantifies success in student numbers, but success is also measured in other ways such as distance traveled, self-transformation, and social mobility. Those marginalized by social injustices are pupils with disabilities, pupils from BAME, Black and ethnic minority backgrounds, from low socioeconomic backgrounds, discrimination, those where there's an academic and vocational divide, and courses whereby there is inappropriate, which are more gendered, such as women in STEM. Education as an engine of growth has narrowed the vision of education itself, where learning is equal earning. It is deemed that education leads to skills, which further leads to an increase in productivity. However, this orthodox model of human capital investment has a lot of limitations. The rates of return reflects social inequalities of class, gender, and ethnicity. Those disadvantaged in education and the job markets are the biggest losers. When people are viewed as stock of human resources, the purpose of getting education gets reduced to an investment in a nation's resources, reducing individuals to what they can potentially sell in the job market. Investment in education does not pay equally, certainly not for all. What we see in education is class segregated curriculum, whereby there is marginalized group of students missing out on powerful forms of knowledge. There's a dichotomy of vocational versus academic, skills versus knowledge, body versus mind. And this dichotomy of education informs the content of our education, which is a curriculum. Bourdieu proposes that it is a stratification of school knowledge that produces inequalities in cultural capital. This research aims to explore the lived experiences of individual female students from BME background in further education on BTech business course. This research is undertaken through use of an autoethnographic approach to start the research from one's own experience. The use of narrative research is used to explore the lived experiences of participants in FE. Since the voices of vulnerable and marginalized do not generally form part of the main course, discourse narratives which construct their life truths expose multiple layers of marginalization that were blocking their participation. The key educators that I have used and that have influenced my research are Paulo Freire, Gayatri Spivak, Jacques Mezirow, Basil Bernstein, and Pierre Bourdieu. Paulo Freire criticized the banking model of education. He defines praxis as reflection and action upon the world in order to transform it. Gayatri Spivak, as a concept, contains that groups that are marginalized, oppressed, and exploited have no space from which the subaltern can speak. Subalterns are rendered mute by the epistemic violence of the hegemonic discourse. Transformational learning involves experience, reflection, and personal change, as proposed by Jack Mezirow. Jack Mezirow, according to him, the four components that support transformation are disorienting dilemma, reflection, discourse, and action. Basil Bernstein says that social class and family socialization produces a type of speech. Working class students learn and use restricted language codes, while middle class children learn and use elaborated language codes. According to Bernstein, it is this speech and these are the different codes used by different classes that limits and that divides and that creates dichotomy in education. According to Bernstein, education cannot compensate for the society. But according to Stephen Gorard, he says the schools in destruction origin can do more than simply reflect the society we have. They can be the precursor of the kind of society that we wish to have. The preliminary findings of this research is that in some group of students, emphasis on education attainment reinforces educational inequalities. Concept of human capital puts responsibility on people to appreciate their value through continual education, training, and assessment. Heavy focus on outcome increases stress level for many students. Quality of life is also a social justice issue. Thriving in later life versus being oppressed in the present. According to Caulfield, we need to reclaim the language of education from exam factories to communities of discovery. Instead of considering education as an engine of growth, it should help shape the next generation of socially and morally responsible citizens. Rather than preparing learners to meet the needs of the economy, the focus should be on to meet the needs of the pupils. These are some of the references that I have used. Thank you for listening.